this project, items will be needing your pattern paper, your cotton scissors, measuring tape, your permanent marker, or a pen. The choice is yours. A ruler. Yeah, so we'll go straight right into the project. On the screen are the items, the measurements you will be needing for this project. Please, if you do not know how to take measurements, I have a video link somewhere there. So I marked from the shoulder the nipple points, the half length, and then you mark the blouse length with 1 inch for hem allowance. Now hem allowance could be 1 or 2 inches. The choice is totally up to you, but basically I always use 1 inch. So now I'm going ahead to draw out the lines so that they are clearer for proper viewing. Yes. Then I'm going to mark the names, going to list the names of the lines. So right there I wrote bust here, but you could just take that to be nipple points. And right there is a half length. That was supposed to be TH and not a HT. And also your blouse length. Please do like and subscribe. Welcome again. Thank you for joining me. And right there is the shoulder. Now the shoulder measurements are usually divided by 2. Please refer to the link above to know how to take proper body measurements and what numbers they are being divided by. So now I'm going ahead to mark the arm side, that is the armhole. Whatever you get, for example, your armhole is 20, you divide it by 2, that's giving you 10, and then you minus 2. Yeah. And then I went ahead to mark the shoulder at that point just so that my line will be straight. I usually have a problem with marking straight lines, so yeah, I do that a lot. So please do like and do subscribe. Thank you. So from that angle, you're going to mark 1 inch upwards and curve it into. Now you mark 1 inch downwards. That's for the shoulder slope. For the neck opening, you could go anywhere between 3 to whatever you decide for. But for there, I did the neck, the width and the depth 3 inches, 3 inches sideways, 3 inches downwards. Yeah. And then I mark 1 inch also from that corner, angle 90, and I curve it up that way. Yeah. Please, if you're having issues with curving your lines, please get the curve rollers being sold out there in the market. Now at that point, I measured from the slope down to the armhole line. Whatever I got half of it. I marked half of it, then I marked half inwards, and I connected the line, yeah, from the armhole up to the shoulder. And there you see me draw down the shoulder slope. Yeah. So now I'm going ahead to divide the bust measurements into 4. Remember, our fabric is always folded into 2, the 2 representing the front and the other 2 representing the back. So whatever you get at that point, I went ahead to add 1 inch sewing allowance. Now I always say this: if you're sewing English clothing, please do ½ inch. So at the bust, at the waist, I added 2 inches. Remember, up there at the bust, I added 1. At the waist, I added 2 inches. Now at the hip, I'm going ahead to place the hip measurements. And down there, I'm adding 1½ inch for sewing allowance. You can add anything from 1 inch to 1½ inch, okay, inches, okay. And now you go ahead to draw your lines. If you cannot draw lines, please buy the rulers, the pattern rulers being sold out there in the market. They will definitely, they actually do make your pattern making a lot more easier. But I'm used to using my hands, so basically I work with what I got, you know. So now this is optional. You can decide to curve it at that point. It's optional. It's up to you. It's completely up to you. So now after we're done with this, we're going ahead to cut out the pattern. I'm going to use the front to cut the back. Now take note, for this particular pattern I did not do the darts. But I think I'll do an updated video showing you how to place that, because most times for this basic bodies, I went ahead to use to make a blouse, and I'll show you that most times it depends on what you're doing. You really do not need the dart, but the dart is also very important. So that's the center front being indicated for just for better understanding, okay? And it's the front also. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead to place our fronts on the remaining pattern paper so that we can get our back. We can start with our back pattern. All right, so yeah, you go ahead to place your pattern or your fabric. You can do this directly on your fabric, okay? If it's not lace. If it's lace, your marker will just be, it won't show. Well, unless you're using washable markers, then yeah, you can also draw directly on your lace. So now this is also optional. If you put in a zipper, then you can go ahead to leave as little as half an inch to as much as 1 inch for your zipper allowance. But if you are not putting zipper in your basic bodies, like the pattern, this pattern, when I used it, I actually did not put a zipper on the blouse, but I just did this so that you know that you can actually put a zipper on your basic body. So I went ahead and marked ½ inch for my zipper, and then yeah, I placed the pattern right in front of the line that I knew, the new line that I marked for my zip measurements, okay? So I went ahead now to trace. You go ahead to trace out the pattern. You can use your ruler or your hand. You see some places that have the curves. I was using my hand, and in some places, like the issues I have with straight lines and not with curved lines. So curved, I use my hand to curve it, and the straight parts, I use the ruler to mark out the pattern. So you just do what works for you, okay? Just do what works for you. The important thing is you get the right. Even if you don't get it right the first time, you'll get it right the second time. So I went ahead to indicate the depths and width of the neckline. But for the back, I'm going to go down with just 1 inch. Okay, just 1 inch for my depths, just 1 inch. Okay, for this pattern, I think I went down with 2 inches because it's not for a shirt. But if you're going to be sewing a shirt, because you can use this basic bodice to sew a shirt. If you're sewing a shirt, please, the depth should be 1 inch. So right there at the corner, I marked ½ an inch, and I got my curve, yes. Now for the back, the slope at the back is ½ an inch. Now at this point, I'm marking 1 inch down at the armhole and reconnecting that line. You'll see why I did that very soon, because on the front pattern, you'll see why I did that very soon on the front pattern. So yeah, we're done. Now if you're also doing that, you also go ahead to draw your dart at the back. But like I said, for this particular pattern, I'm not using darts, you know. So but I think now I'm thinking about it, I think maybe I should actually do a pattern with darts for those who do not know how to do it that, because this is a basic body tutorial for beginner. Oh, my bad. But yeah, this is still workable, very workable. I use this pattern for basically almost everything, from my shirts to my gowns and all. We're going to see that later in future videos, okay? So right there, I'm marking that that's for the zip allowance or closure if you're not putting a zipper, and also that's the back, so we know the back from the front, okay? So now on the front, we have what they call the breast darts, okay? So for the breast dart, on the bust line, which is the nipple line, that nipple line, yes, I mark inwards. You can measure it. For most times it's 3, and for this particular client it was 3.5. So I mark inwards 5 inches, yes, and that 1 inch I subtracted from the back yeah, is what I'm putting here. And you see I marked 1/2 inch on both sides. So that 1 inch that I removed from the back of the pattern is what I'm going to use to create the bust darts on the front of the dress or the shirts, you know. So that basically was why I minused the 1 inch from the back. I hope that's clear. Now please remember, for the front slope it's 1 inch, for the back it's 1/2 an inch. You know, I think maybe it wasn't that clear on camera, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out. So you see how simple and easy it is. We're done already. That's the front and that's our back. Oh my gosh, this is so easy. Tailoring is delicious. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's not stressful. It's very easy to get. You can teach yourself how to sew. You don't have to kill yourself over it, okay? So please don't forget to like and subscribe.